Hello there, it's time for the marketplace. Of course, this whole day we have been having the vetting of the finance minister designate, Ken Ofori-Atta. He's been answering several questions from the appointment committee. Key has been that of the Japan Royalties deal, and of course matters regarding his real conflict of interest with Data Bank, of which he says he has retired in that regard. We shall be having excerpts of the interactions he had in the floor of Parliament, plus all other stories regarding business and finance in this edition of the Marketplace. My name is Charles Aite. We're taking this short break. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome. The finance minister designate, Ken Ofori-Atta, has been sitting through the appointment committee today in Parliament, answering several questions from the controversial Japan Royalties deal, from controversy, conflict of interest regarding Data Bank and other matters of investment and input to the 2021 budget. This happened after his vetting period was postponed following complications from COVID-19, of which saw him traveling outside the country to the United States to seek treatment. But today, the finance minister has stated clearly that the Japan Royalties deal is an innovation to make sure that Ghana gains value for money when it comes to its oil reserves and natural resources such as gold, especially when the country is a leading exporter of the commodity on the world scale. He stated that innovative policies as the Japan Royalties deal must be accepted in Parliament, and that politics could mar the entire picture that government is hoping to achieve in 30 years. Let's listen to excerpts of his interactions on the floor of Parliament at the appointment committee.
In his State of the Nation address had this to say, and I quote, "Let me at this point assure the House that in the course of the session of Parliament, government will come back to engage the House on the steps it intends to take on the future of the Ajapa transaction." Why Ajapa? What's the necessity of Ajapa? What's the justification? What do you need money for Ajapa before I relate to other issues? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, certainly that is not a warming to to the process. We get right into action. I think I try to illustrate that since I got in on Saturday, we have launched the roadshow for the largest bond issue in our country yesterday, and to remarkable responses. We have also during that period began the issue of the merger of economic planning and us, the setup of Obatampa, etc. And then, of course, beginning with appropriations and preparing for this vetting. Really, for someone who has worked literally 18 odd hours a year since 2017, I just see no step down in what we have to do. I can assure you that the enthusiasm is there, the strength is there, and the excitement for the future since continues. I think public service is a duty that has its own energy and passion, and let me assure the chairman that there will be no lacks in the intensity of the work that we have to do.
So, Ajapa, how much money are you seeking to monetize, and for what purpose? What do you need that money for? And I just heard you, Chairman, in his opening remarks that since he arrived, he's launched the roadshow for the highest ever. In what capacity did you launch the roadshow?
Minister designate and representative of the president.
I have taken note of that. Minister designate launching, raising $5.5 billion in the name of the Republic. I've taken judicial notice of that function and the activity. Minister,
I also have a letter as President's representative.
Still on Ajapa.
I hope that was noted also.
What do you need the money for?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I think with regards to to Ejapa, there are a few things that we need to assure ourselves of. I think first and foremost, the President has said that we resubmit it to Parliament. And so that shall be done, which then opens up all of the issues that have been brought to bear. But I think one thing I need to note is that truly, I mean, the basis of that transaction was an act that was passed, which was thoroughly debated, and we did not really move away from any edicts of that act. I think it is all of us looking at the state of the economy of a new normal, which seems to be global with regards to debt, and we're looking to interject equity into the way in which the country grows. But if you look at the powers of the fund, which this august House passed Act 978(3), the fund may create and hold equity interest in a special purpose vehicle, procure the listing of the special purpose vehicle on any reputable stock exchange, assign or transfer any rights of its mineral income to a special purpose vehicle, assign, transfer, or, so I think we are in the right course. But the challenge for all of us is, as you look at the new normal in which there seems to be quite a bit of debt by all countries, what do we do with our natural resources?
And that's the finance minister designate there. One thing he made mention of was the fact that whilst he was the finance minister designate, he was still on the road show regarding the 5 billion euro bond exercise. And speaking of that, the Finance Ministry is expected to close investor engagement on $5 billion Eurobond exercise tomorrow. Government since Monday has been engaging institutional investors through virtual platforms on the expected issuance of the debt instrument. But what are some of the concerns being expressed by the investor community at the roadshow? We have details in this report.
The virtual meeting, which began on Monday, has seen officials of the Finance Ministry, the Bank of Ghana brief these investors on the economy, banking sector, and some policy measures outlined in the 2021 budget. These institutional investors are drawn from Europe, America, and some countries in Africa. Some of the issues that have dominated discussions or raised by investors covered government's fiscal policy, especially when it comes to revenue. They've also raised issues about our rising non-performing loans and how that could threaten the stability of the banking sector. Issues surrounding a fairly balanced parliament and how it could impact on agreements going forward have also been highlighted. Bank of Ghana's government financing and the recent EU blacklisting were also highlighted. However, some market watchers are worried about the expected interest and the cost of raising this $5 billion Eurobond. This is because Ghana's ability to pay its debts on time is said to be under threat following the rising external debt stock, because we are not raising enough revenue to finance these debts. But at the time that the World Bank has also raised issues with our rising external debt, everyone will be looking at the expected interest rates to be paid on the Eurobond. Funds raised to be used to finance the budget deficit, maturing debts, and some projects outlined in the 2021 budget.
Now, banks wrote off loans of a little above 2.1 billion cedis as bad debt last year. That's according to the income statement of all the 23 banks released by the Bank of Ghana. Charles Nick Senior takes a look at the income statement and has more.
This is compared to about 1.7 billion cedis loan losses recorded in 2019. The increase in the bad debt is obviously as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, which had impacted on the bank's balance sheet. However, it could have been worse if the Bank of Ghana had not undertaken the financial sector reforms from 2017. During the coronavirus period, Banks provided support and reliefs in the form of loan restructuring and loan repayment suspensions to cushion customers severely impacted by the pandemic. This, in turn, moderated the likely severe adverse impact the pandemic would have had on banks' asset quality. Interestingly, non-performing loans went up by only 0.5% to 14.8% last year. This, the Bank of Ghana attributed to improved credit growth and loan write-offs during the last quarter of the year 2020. The increase in the NPLs came from the construction and manufacturing sectors respectively. Nonetheless, the central bank said the banking sector ended last year on a robust note on the back of strong policy support and regulatory reliefs.
Of course, I must add that even